Good evening, Mr. Doran.
Good evening, Lady Serene. So good to be with you.
Same here. How are you?
I'm doing very well in a very hot Antigua and Barbuda.
So I heard. I was
Yes, it
hoping
is.
Pete will, do better after I left, but it seems that hasn't happened.
No, a matter of fact, we're under heat warning, so we're still hot.
Wow. Yeah, I'm in New York, as you know, and
Yes.
the temperature has dropped. So I think we're officially in fall, although it's not officially fall yet, but we're there.
Well,
I'm wearing long pants and long sleeve shirts to bed. So that's a sign.
send some of the weather here.
I'll try. So for persons on Facebook, let us know if you can hear us clearly. We always like to know before we start getting into things. Okay. So, before we start, I want to just offer a disclaimer that, this evening we are talking about suicide prevention, and it can be a trigger for some folks. It is viewers' discretion is advised. If at any time you feel what we call triggered, so meaning if you're starting to feel some physiological responses that are difficult to manage and sit with, if you're feeling some uneasiness, you are welcome to part ways from this. You can always come back. It is recorded, so it will be on our Facebook page. You do not have to force yourself. And in addition to that, if you are feeling some discomfort, it may mean that you should call someone, a mental health professional, to speak with someone and begin to get the support that you so deserve. And we'll talk about where you can search for a mental health professional, how you can search for a mental health professional, and the different reasons why it's important for you to seek mental health care. Yes, Mr. Doran?
That is so. That is so. And always remember that your mental health is our priority. Our desire is to serve you in this area, and we want to see you healthy and whole.
Okay, yes, absolutely. And so we're saying good evening to Kathleen Samuel. She says good evening. She let us know, can hear you loud and clear. That's what we like to hear. We also have, I see my intern, Ladini Doreem. She is an intern. She's in her master's graduate program at Howard University, and she's joining us. Hi. She
Good evening, ladies.
well. Okay. So I sort of, I'll introduce myself, right? Because I don't know, I don't want to take for granted that everyone knows who I am. So my name is Serene Prince. I am a licensed psychotherapist, a licensed clinical social worker. I am the president of Antigua and Barbuda Holistic Coalition. I also have a private mental practice in the States in New York and a private mental practice in Antigua and Barbuda. I'm licensed in New York, New Jersey, and Florida. And so I am going to briefly introduce our guest, and he will go into who he is. And so we have here joining us counseling psychologist, CEO of LC Doran Consulting Services, Mr. Lennox Doran. You can also tell them your other accolades because I don't want to ruin that. I seem to always mess it up. And
All
so,
right,
uh,
so
yes, go ahead. Yes.
I am also a minister of the gospel for heading into almost 30 years. And I started my counseling journey in that direction before I became a counseling psychologist. I am also a peace ambassador to the United Nations and also hold the Order of Minister Statesman as a designation from that organization as well. It was
Wonderful.
given because of my work during COVID-19 and the persons that were able to access service without cost during that time. And so they gave me that designation. I am founder, CEO of LC Doran Consulting Services, where I operate my private practice in Antigua, uh, in the Woods area, Upper Gambles.
Thank you for that. So that means that I can call you for a favor, no?
Yes, you can.
Noted. No, I'm just kidding. I am just kidding. Um, I became some people ask me why did I become a go into the mental health field profession. And I initially did not go into it. I with the intention of being a psychotherapist, I thought I was going to be a computer programmer. But life has it. I ended up in mental professional. That's a whole nother life. And it has been what I discovered at a later age that it was really and truly my calling. But I just didn't know it. Like when my parents had shared with me as a young child, I would go to the aid of a child that was crying. They kind of just waved it off that that was just me being sensitive, and here I am. I'm a child and adolescent expert, and that's my specialty. So I don't know if you want to share with those, briefly as much as you want, what led you into the mental health profession?
A lot of persons will maybe laugh at me because, as a minister of the gospel, then counseling is something you would do. And so you would have your counseling degree to help people. And I remember several years ago, a colleague of mine, very good friend, I called her to get an opinion on something. And she said to me, "You all need to stay in your lane. I'm sending you a list of psychologists and therapists who will handle this." It is a joke up to today. And I said to myself, well, there are some things that I want to handle. So I decided to take up the challenge and complete my studies to prepare myself to help people in a more holistic way, having the right information to assist them. So that's how I went. But helping people and counseling has been happening for a very long, long time.
I'm glad I asked you because now I have an idea for another live at another time. So, Kathleen Samuel says, Dr. Doran, good evening. It's Mrs. Brown. I guess you know who that is. Okay.
Yes, I do. Good
Okay.
evening. Happy to have you on.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mrs. Brown, for joining. So let's go into what is suicide, right? You and I were talking, we were talking about just really defining, and we know that this has been a conversation for many of us, and in Antigua and Barbuda, and particularly, this discussion around suicide. I think it's fairly new and may have begun. When I say fairly new in terms of in the public, and I think it had really begun during the pandemic, and that September is Suicide Prevention Month. So we're being more intentional to publicly talk about it, as I believe we share that we view it as our responsibility. And so not everyone is a public speaker or sharer, but there are different ways that we can lend to sort of permeating the mental health stigmas that can eventually help with decreasing suicidal thoughts and plans and acts that have occurred in Antigua and Barbuda. So I'm going to let you take it away with the definition of suicide.
Okay, so when we talk about suicide, it means ending your own life. So someone ending their own life. It is sometimes a way for people to escape pain or suffering, and that person might decide, I do not want to be around anymore. I wish I would just die. And so persons who make attempts and plan and to end their own life, we're talking suicide, ending your own life, suicide.
Yeah, yeah. And so, and also those that are watching, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook, we welcome you to ask questions. This is an interactive sort of session that we're doing here. So it's just not the mental professionals talking. This is also you asking questions. No question is a stupid question because
That
the
is so
question
true.
that you have, someone else is thinking about it as well. So we thank you. Okay. So, what are the differences between suicidal thoughts and plans? And I'll start that off and let you dive in a little bit more.
Sure.
So, suicidal ideation is what, as we professionals call it, or suicidal thoughts, is not uncommon. There are more persons that have thought about ending their lives than you would believe. And there are times when persons will have suicidal thoughts maybe for a few seconds, or that they will last, right? So, suicidal thoughts is the thought of not living anymore for the most part, right? Um, and so, according to, and so we have more statistics, I want to say probably in the United States than we do in the Caribbean, just by because of the stigma surrounding mental health and the legislations and the systems. But overall, there are about 11.83% of young adults ages 18 to 25 who thought about killing themselves, not planning, but killing. 18.8% of high school students thought about that. Now, suicidal plan or the intent refers to a clear desire and plan to complete suicide or ending your life. It can be accompanied by just taking a few steps about what would I do, where would I go, should I write a letter, what are the means that I'm going to end my life, whether it's pills, utilizing a gun, suffocation or hanging, whatever methods. That is an intent where you start to, or a person may start to look around the room or wherever they are, and think about how they would end their life. They have an intention to end their life. Mr. Doran, what would you like to add to the differences between suicidal thoughts and suicidal plan?
Okay, so it's the thought that comes across the mind, and these thoughts are for varying reasons. Sometimes, based on what is happening, someone might be thinking, I would be better absent. I am not appreciated, so let me just go to bed and not wake up. So it's a thought. But when it comes to the plan, it is the thought that moves to, say, the paper, where somebody is now thinking carefully, how do I action this? How do I put this into place? And when you're thinking about a plan, depending on the gender, then the plans can go in varying direction. For, say, the use of a firearm, more men than women would plan to use a firearm. So once a person starts seeking how to get a firearm because of what they're going through, then it's a plan, going out to get it, thinking how to get it, writing down how to get it, where can I purchase one? And a lot of females would contemplate overdosing on medication, filling a prescription and taking half the bottle. Um, so when we say the thought is whether it comes in the mind, and then that thought is like a river. It is going and going till it gets to a plan, or whether it is just a passing thought based on pain, based on what is happening in life. So people will come up with a thought, and that's how it is. It will go, they will brush it off. I have reasons to live. But when it comes to the plan, somebody is now thinking, how do I leave? How do I exit? And how do I do it quickly?
And what I wanted to also add to that is that w- the plan is not always as long. The duration of the plan is different. So the plan can happen in 5 minutes, or the plan can take a day, or it can take an entire week. So I think that's important for people to know because, when I was this morning, I was on a radio station and I was sharing that what we're doing is just not for persons with a mental illness. What we're doing is for persons who have unexpected tragedies that can lead them to instantaneously decide to end their life. Right. And we'll talk about the causes in a minute. Yes, go ahead. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I'm saying these situations, they come unannounced,
Mhm.
and whether you process up or process down is going to determine whether the thought of suicide comes, or whether a person start planning based on the event. And processing is very, very important as to how you deal with these situations that will come. It's not if they are going to come, they are going to come. And how you deal with them, how you process them in the first place, is going to determine whether or not certain thoughts will come to your mind.
Mhm, mhm. Someone is Wally B listening, big man. Okay, I don't know if you know Wally B, but
I know him.
you have to heal him up, so you have to make sure.
uh, Hail up Wallaby.
Okay, okay. So we'll go into this a little bit more, but we want to make sure we're hitting all the points just for the sake of time. So,
Sure.
what are the causes of suicide, Mr. Doran?
All right. So when we're thinking cause of suicide, then we can think about mental health disorders, mental health conditions. So, if a person is diagnosed with certain mental health condition, then they're at risk, especially if they're placed on medication by their psychiatrist and they're not taking the medication. So, there are several conditions that put persons at risk, and if persons are not getting professional help, stress, anxiety disorder, sometimes even eating disorders, um, persons who are being bullied, discriminated against, persons under financial strain, persons who have chronic pain. So they're taking medication, not getting any ease of this pain, and they just feel like, I can't take this pain anymore. I would just like to leave. Persons who are grieving, sometimes because of the loss of a loved one, they will decide, you know what, Uh, I would rather join this person than be around. Persons who are involved in domestic violence. This is what they go through on a daily basis. They might just make a decision, I am not doing this anymore. I'm not getting beaten and beat up anymore. I want to check out. Persons who have had a relationship breakup, so termination of a romantic relationships. A lot of times persons do not handle this very well, and they sometimes have the thoughts or make
Mhm.
decision to end their lives. And then
And
there's
just
also trauma as well. A traumatic event in a person's life can cause that
I just wanna
as well.
add with the romantic relationships that that is oftentimes also seen in adolescents,
Yes.
and our teenagers who, by development, identify, or value themselves based on relationships, which is normal. But when it involves romantic relationships and that they do not have the space to safely share and express what they are experiencing, the thoughts can really just overwhelm them and the emotions and how they are internalizing this breakup. It can really lead them to spiral and want to end their lives. And so I'm sure I have some I'm I keep it real. My Black families, my Black Caribbean, my Black African families that are watching, are those who do not believe that their child should be involved in romantic relationships. Study your schoolwork, study your books. Being in love is a human thing. It is nothing you can stop from happening, even if they are not in a relationship. They may very well suppress that, but it's important for them to have an outlet to express, even a crush, because there are teens, and I know, Mr. Doran, you treat adolescents as well, and so even a crush, they may have a crush on their teacher or older student. And if, they see that this person is in love with someone else, they are so heartbroken. And so I just really want to bring that up, especially in a digital world where we live in, where um, faux images, fake images are like just blaring in their screen more times than less. I don't know if you want to add anything. I just really want to share that.
Okay, yeah, Syrian, you're so absolutely correct. And it is sad sometimes that parents have buried their heads in the sand concerning their teenage children. Sometimes by the time they come to the realization, it is they're so deeply involved, and that is when you have other things happening where the child might start cutting and want to feel pain because they're trying to distract the brain from the pain they're actually feeling by doing burning or cutting or something to distract. And when that is not fulfilling the pain they desire, um, then they may escalate that to a thought of not being around
Mhm.
because of this breakup in the love relationship, this unfulfilled expectation, which is sometimes worse.
Ludney, she asks, "How can you help someone who's struggling with thoughts of suicide?" Hold on to that question because we are going to get to it, and it is an excellent question. I'm sure many persons are looking to have answered. Um, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the name correctly, but I believe it's Gillian Enriquez. There are persons who show no signs but is counted among the suicidal group. Just maybe if one of their attempts go wrong. What is more obvious sign the person is in distress? So that was loaded, and we love this. So I'll read it
Okay.
again. There are persons who show no sign but is counted among the suicidal group. Just maybe if one of their attempts, just maybe if one of their attempts go wrong, what is a more obvious sign this person is in distress? Um, I don't
You
know
want
if
me to?
you, yeah.
Let me go. A lot of the times we have people around, whether it be family members, friends, co-workers. They were the quote unquote life of the office, life of the family, and you start seeing changes in their behavior. They start to go quiet. The hair would normally be done, nicely shaved. they have stopped that, and that person has retreated into themselves. Sometimes something has happened, and what is now happening is that here is this person in distress, but sometimes the signs are there. Um, Not communicating with friends anymore, not going out anymore, staying in their rooms, sleeping more than they normally would, or being up longer and being unable to sleep are some of the signs that here is a person might be in distress. They're not saying it, but these are some of the signs.
You know, I heard my dialect is not that great. But I'm leaving Galen's question up here because culturally, and I probably get stoned for this. Person say, "Oh, she going science," and they say she going science. The person's acting funny, they're acting weird, in a way that the person doesn't want to interact with them anymore, opposed to saying, "Well, maybe she's going a little whatever, but could it be something else?" Right? Get curious about when someone is acting funny, so to speak, right? Culturally, we tend to go there and internalize someone's behavior as if it's something against us. But if there's no evidence for that, then what could it be? Get curious. If you become more curious, you will see the signs. You will see the signs. Do you agree?
I do agree. Is happening now, and I think maybe you have had that in New York for a long time. It is happening in the Caribbean right now, where we're all so busy. We're all so busy, always rushing, and sometimes not taking the time to check on each other, to ask simple questions. How are you doing? In the Caribbean, the natural thing to say is, I'm good, I'm okay. And sometimes what we really need to ask, just be honest with me, how are you really doing? And then if you show the care, that type of care, then persons will sometimes open up to let you know how they're really doing. And that is going to tell you exactly, because people sometimes are being distressed either because of financial situation, family situations, job situations, relationship situations. And when these things are happening, sometimes persons need an outlet, but they're not finding somebody who is caring enough to
Mm-hmm.
to allow themselves to be vulnerable enough to say, I have had challenges. I need to make myself available to you, to be an ear, to listen. And that is critical when persons are going through distress. Um, to be an ear, to give them an opportunity to talk, and to be willing to spend the time to listen, and to listen critically without being judgmental. That is very, very important.
Yep. Yeah.
So as therapists, as psychologists, one of the things we often say, Lady Serene, when someone comes into our practice is, this is your safe space. There is no
Mhm.
judgment, irrespective of what it is. And this is what people need to know. There is no judgment.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about some techniques to manage suicidal thoughts. And I put my so that when people read it, that if this belongs to you, it's okay, right? It's okay. And
Okay.
so we're sharing, and I just want to offer the disclaimer that this is for psychoeducational purposes only. This should not be used to replace mental health care. And as Mr. Doran had shared earlier, The causes of suicidal thoughts or suicide can relate to mental illness. And so, if you have a mental illness that falls under a psychotic disorder like schizophrenia, or a manic disorder like borderline personality, or you have generalized anxiety disorder where you're experiencing high levels of anxiety almost every day of the week, or clinical depression or depression where you're experiencing sadness even in happy moments, that you should not take what we're saying as okay, I have these information and I'm good. No, you're not. You should contact a mental professional. And how do you know you should contact a mental professional? Because you may be writing notes and deciding that you're going to utilize these techniques, and that's fine. But the techniques that we're sharing with you is until you identify a mental health professional to get help.
That is so true. When you're thinking about how what are techniques, the first one I would put it on the table is if you're feeling and this way you're having any form of distress or depression or anxiety, first thing, please, please, please call a mental health professional. Do not try to think that, oh, I can do this on my own. I've got it covered. Please accept help, pick up the phone and call help. I need help. The reason Serene is doing this right now is that persons who might be having suicidal thoughts will know that they can get help. It is very, very important. Now, to get professional help, um, will help you figure out the source of your suicidal thoughts, which is what you want to figure out quickly. When was the first time I remember feeling like this? Uh, what do I need to do? And how can I manage? Do I feel worse after a particular trigger? What can I do to help the thoughts to go in that direction? You want to create a safety plan. A safety plan include a list of support people. Yes, you want to have those people around you. So if things are not going the way you expect them to go, and you're feeling suicidal or having thoughts, you can call your support group until you can get to a mental health professional. Now, you want to also restrict your access to things you could use to hurt yourself. Yes. So if you know that you're having struggles, um, knives, razors, and these things, keep them far from you. Medication, alcohol, firearms, keep those far from you. Or for the time being, maybe manage your medication for you until reduce your stress level. It is important to reduce your levels of stress, um, and keep a social schedule. Have regular activities with people in your social circle, like weekly phone calls, coffee dates, pizza dates, study group, or exercise group. Or you might need to try a new hobby, writing, drawing, painting, anything like that. And keep a journal is a very, very good one. And that will help you to help manage those thoughts.
What if person says, "Man, I no friend. What journal? What you talk about?" Mm. We get a lot of that, by the way, folks.
Yes, we do. And these we have to, or we need to, not have to, we need to understand that if you're going through crisis, then you need to try new things. Um, the old adage of doing the same thing the same way, you get the same result. So it's about trying new things. Um, One of the things I like to recommend to my patients is 1 hour a week, 1 hour a week to a quiet place that you can sit and just meditate and relax. 1 hour. There's about 168 hours in the week. Take one for you. Put away the phone, especially for those living in the Caribbean. They're nice beaches, nice little places. If you like birds or flowers, 1 hour a week. It helps you to meditate and take you down a little. That will help you to go through the day.
And if time is of the essence, break up the hour, right? You can make it 10 minutes a day. I think there's 7 days in the week. So
Yeah.
you can break it up, right? You can
10
break it
minutes a day just for you.
just for you, 15 minutes.
Just for
You
you.
know, you can break it up. I mean, I'm sure you can attest to this that we offer clients techniques, and sometimes they go back, they're like, what? So they say, Dr. Doran, I don't know an hour. I don't have an hour. The kids them won't give me an hour. Right. And so we're like, well, let's go back. Let's see. Think outside of the box, right? What will work for you? Can you break it up? They're like, yeah, I can sit in my car or sit outside on a veranda before I go inside for 10 minutes and have a moment to myself. All right. So think outside of the box.
It is very important to be willing to think about you. I know a lot of times, whether it be mothers, fathers, grandmothers, it's I can't stop because I have so much to do. Well, if you don't rest and relax and take care of you, then you won't have you to share with the others. So it's important to take care of you.
Yeah. Yeah. So I hope you all got in those tips. It is recorded. And so now we are going to go into how to support someone struggling with suicidal thoughts or plan. And Ludney, you had asked that, right? And so um, this is where we're going to talk about that. And of course, as Lennox Doran shared, contact 911 if someone has a plan to kill themselves. I am not going to say end their life. I'm not going to say, plan to commit suicide. I'm going to say what it is. And that is someone who has plans to kill themselves. You call 911. Do not try to take matters into your own hands. And I'm probably going to say something I'm going to get stoned for again. You can pray and call 911. That's all I want to say. So you can.
I mean, prayer is of paramount importance. But one of the things you want to do is to get the mental health professionals, get the medical situation as quickly as possible. So if someone is struggling or someone has said to you, I am tired, I'm going to get out of here, you don't have the technical skills, call 911. Get the person to the emergency room, because sometimes what is needed is that this person need to be on suicide watch, which means they need people around them until they can someone can work with them, a mental health professional can work with them to get things back into balance, that that person will now start seeing the reasons why I want to stay here. So do not try to think, okay, I have all the tools, I know, I was watching Serene, so I learned two things. No, please, please, please get help. There's this little saying in the Caribbean, horses for courses. Simple means that if that is not your field of expertise, get somebody who knows. So start with 911, get the person to the emergency room. The most hospitals in the Caribbean, I'm hoping, I'm seeing all kind of things, but they should have somebody on staff who is a mental health professional who can start the process.
And so, also going back to Mr. Doran had shared earlier, you want to ask a person, what is important to you? Be consistent, be aware of your voice, not yelling at them. Don't yell. Don't yell. Stop the foolishness. Cut it out. Gotta go back with you. That is a sin. Don't say that.
And that's being judgmental. Um, while we know what it is, in person in crisis, um, voice control, calmness of voice, calmness of face. I know what I'm saying. It's not easy, and we have some training, Lady Serene. So, in the midst of certain crises, somebody might say, but calmness of voice,
Yep.
no panicking, and have a relaxed disposition, and not to be judgmental in our action or our speech, but give that person reason to want to be around.
Yeah. Take a few deep breaths, Make sure you're checking with yourself. We know that this is a difficult moment to deal with. And you may are generally a person who has an answer to things, and this is not a situation that you have an answer or a remedy for. But take a few deep breaths. Talking slowly and calmly, as Mr. Doran shared, helps both you and the individual that you're helping. Believe it or not. And take your time. Do not offer guilt. Who's going to take care of your children? They already know they have children. They thought about that already. Trust me. They probably thought about you, right? So you want to identify what is important to them. What is important to them? And you may not agree, but that doesn't matter. Okay.
And one of the things I would want to say to family members and friends listening, stop putting you in the situation if you come across somebody who having thoughts of suicide. Stop thinking about how you feel about it. This is a person that is in crisis. It is a health decision, and you want to see how quickly you can help and how quickly you can get the right people to be having that conversation with this family member or friend. So one other thing I would say, and thank you, Lady Serene, for sharing um, the mental health directory here in Antigua and Barbuda.
Mhm.
It's a mentalhealthantigua.com, and you will see a list of therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists that is on that list that will help you get a number and store it in your phone just for emergencies. That if there is something you can reach out and see and get help, please.
Yeah. Galen Enriquez has a question. For a conscious looking person, quote unquote, who often whisper out words, thoughts to his or herself, would you say that's a mental disorder?
I would say it depends on what they're whispering out.
Let me just tell you, I sometimes talk to myself. So
Yeah.
please do not try us.
So it depends on what. There are persons who speak to themselves and it's words of encouragement. Um, so the person is conscious and they're saying, I'm going to be great today. I'm going to do excellent today. I'm going to be top of my class today. And the person might be whispering those words, and that is okay because they are reaffirming and speaking to themselves words of strength and words that engages them. But there are times that people might be saying things that tell you that something is not right. It might be incoherent. It might be sentences that are not properly put together. It might be thoughts that, um, when expressed, you know that something is wrong. So I would say, Lady Henriquez, that it has to do a lot with what is being said. It's
Yes.
the what that is, I think, is very important.
And let me just add to that that a person who may have a mental illness, a mental disorder, mental health disorder, who is having audible, having some delusions, hallucinations, but more so delusions, who may be speaking to themselves, we do consider them to be healthy. So I think it's important that people realize that. If they're able to function day to day, they're not hurting themselves or someone else, they are deemed stable and healthy. Because the severe end of that may be speaking out loud, speaking to other people, wondering someone is after them. And so I believe that falls more or less on the lines of a psychotic disorder, or in which they are not, they're incoherent, and they're not able to function. So I just wanted to point that out because sometimes persons may see individuals talking to themselves and like, oh, as long as everyone is safe and they're functioning to a certain capacity on a daily basis, they are deemed stable and healthy. Just like if you are diagnosed with diabetes or high blood pressure, you may take medication and you are still above the what's the word I'm looking for, Mr. Doran? You're still
Yes.
above the mark
Yeah.
of where you're still diagnosed basically with diabetes, but you're stable for the most part. You're healthy, you're working out, you're eating right, you're not having these up and down emotions because you're taking your medication, you're seeing your doctor, and you're living a healthier lifestyle. That doesn't mean you don't have diabetes anymore. That means your diabetes is stable and you're living a healthier life. So I just wanted to make mention of that. Thank you for that question. It's excellent.
Yes, it is. So, where to get help, depending on where you are. In Antigua and Barbuda, it would be mentalhealthantigua.com. You will see a list of psychologists, therapists, counselors, psychiatrists by which you can make a call and get help.
Mhm.
Um, where Serene is in New York, then it would be again looking for a psychiatrist, a psychotherapist,
Right.
a psychologist, counselor in your area. If you're in New York, then you just say New York, or then you just say Serene, Serene, I need to see you.
Right. So we're going to focus on Antigua and Barbuda. But if you're in New York, and by the way, if you're visiting New York or Florida or New Jersey, you can call me and get help. So this is what a lot of people do not know, right? They do not know that if you are visiting a country, even if you are not a resident of there, more times than less, you can get mental health care. So we
Yes, you
have
can.
some Antiguans and Barbudans who may be visiting the States for 2 or 3 months, and they may be seeing the mental professional in Antigua and Barbuda. You can still see them. It's up to them, by the way. I shouldn't say that. It's up to them if you can see them remotely,
Yeah.
right? We see clients, really all over the world. Depends on the the region that they're in. And so people a lot of times make assumptions that they cannot continue their care because they're traveling. but you should have a conversation and have a discussion with your mental health counselor in Antigua and Barbuda to see if that's the case. If that so happens to be the case, then look us up. My practice in New York is orchardbluecounseling.com. That's ORCHARDBLUE counseling.com, or anyone else. But I think it's really important to know that help is usually around the bend, and that do not make a decision on assumptions or someone else's information. Make an informed decision based on information that you've acquired for yourself. And so that's really key. And so, Mr. Doran.
And if they would like to see me, then my office number is 562 That's office. And my work cell phone is 770 1000.
What is that
That's
number again?
the office number is, well, 268 562 9581. That's the office number. And the cell phone number, the work cell phone, is 268 770 1000.
Let me just, I did not do well in, yeah. So I was trying to find your flyer to show everyone, but I haven't figured that part of StreamYard just yet. So I have to do it the old school way and type it in the comments. And let's
Yes.
get your email or cell phone if you want, that
Yeah,
is.
the cell phone is 770 1000.
Oh, that's easy.
Yes,
That's
it was
easy.
deliberate.
Yeah.
770 1000.
Okay.
And it's telephone and WhatsApp as well.
Okay.
And if you would like to send me an email, it is lcdoranconsult@gmail.com.
Okay.
So again, my email address is lcdoranconsult@gmail.com. So
Okay.
I respond fairly quickly to my messages and request for information.
Okay. So while I get that information up, so on the 11th of November at the second annual Free Holistic Health and Wellness Expo, Mr. Doran, you will be facilitating a free mental health workshop on your
Yes.
program of the 3 pillars to improve your mental health. Mr. Doran is not going to give all the goodies away because we need you to come to the expo to listen in and be interactive. What would you like to share with the people?
Uh, a lot of the times, Serene, we are so caught up with what is happening that sometimes we are chasing our tails. So, three very important pillars for your mental health starts with understanding that there are 3 days in life, and how to navigate those 3 days are very important. So, it's going to be a practical demonstration of how to navigate the 3 days of life and the three very important pillars of mental health. So I really, really want, and I won't give anything else away, but just say, please, please, please be at that presentation on Saturday, the 11th of
Mhm,
November. It's at the Environmental Division Conference
mhm,
Room.
mm,
um, Please be there as we share with everybody how to improve your mental health.
yeah, yeah. I'm welcoming others to Ludney gives us some hand claps. Thanks, Ludney. Welcoming others to ask any questions that you may have, right? We have like about 5 minutes, I think, left. Please, any questions that you may have as it relates to suicide or mental health, or contacting Mr. Doran at LC Consulting Services. So, anyone.
Yeah, feel free to talk to us. We're happy to share the information we have.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, this was great. I don't know if there's anything that you want to add.
Well, okay, so I want to add this, and I hope this will show a little bit. You know what this is? September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, and Dr. Joseph, uh, the psychiatrist who I'm fortunate to share office with, has put on a drive, and it is for persons to uh, come on board. And what it is so that you can purchase a T-shirt and you can wear it. It's the theme for this year: creating hope through action, and recognizing that uh, September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. Purchase a shirt. It's 50 EC dollars. So you can get it at the office there. Those numbers that are there, you can use them to order your shirt and come and pick it up and support the whole thought of how can we get a first world mental health facility in Antigua and
Mhm.
Barbuda. That is the plan.
Mhm.
So we rock our shirts on Fridays, and this is catching on across the country that persons have been getting their shirts and sending pictures of rocking their
Mhm.
shirts on a Friday.
Mhm. So, fundraiser, oh, that was one word actually, sorry. To build a mental treatment facility for all. Purchase t-shirt, $50. Is that what we're doing? We're raising funds,
That is
build a
correct.
state-of-the-art mental
Um,
health treatment
yes,
facility.
all purpose. So that includes children.
Yeah.
Because listen, there are some situations, and Serene knows this very well, and some
Mhm.
persons might say, I didn't know it was like that. There are some mental health disorders, condition, situation that requires a person to be in an institution. Sometimes it's for a short period of time, but you want it to be a quality institution. We
Mhm.
have moved away from, well, the world has moved away from the asylum type mental health facility. A mental health facility should be just like any medical facility. You come in, you get treated, and you're certified, and you're good to go back with your family and go back to work. And that's what we want to see, not only in first world countries, but in all countries.
I'm going to remove myself from the screen so you can show the t-shirt a little bit bigger, then I'll come back.
Okay. So this is what the t-shirt looks like. It's the 50 EC dollars, and the colors we have: blue, gray, and white. So that's blue, gray, and white, and it gives you an opportunity to be a part of a process, be able to say, I was a part of the process.
Mhm. So good stuff. So anyone has any questions? We want you to join Antigua and Barbuda Holistic Coalition for our second annual free holistic health and wellness expo. The mental health workshop by Mr. Doran is free and it will be in a conference room so that we can offer you a sense of privacy, and so that confidentiality, which is really important and key. And so this year, that was sponsored. It is sponsored by Citizens by Investment Unit, because they heard us and they heard our mission and that we wanted to offer you an expo where you could be in a more intimate setting and it will be interactive and the room is big enough for you to really start to do the work and take this back to your community. So that's the 11th of November. That's Saturday, the 11th of November from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Environmental Division. And as you can see, we will have 6 free workshops and sessions, inclusive of the mental health workshop, and we hope to see you there. And the t-shirts will be on sale there also. So,
Yeah,
right, that's if there's any left, because I have
that's it.
my
There.
t-shirt. So I hope y'all don't.
We've we've put yours aside, Serene.
Good, good. So I want to thank you again, Mr. Doran, for taking the time out to stay back and join this live and provide information, needed, important, life saving information. And I'm just going to put your information up again so persons can see it and have your number, or they can just do a screenshot, so to speak. I'm going to put up the website for the free mental health directory in Antigua by the NGO Mental Health Talk Antigua. These women are responsible for this free mental health directory in Antigua and Barbuda. You can take a screenshot of that as well and start to look up and get some support, some needed support. And then take a screenshot of this. And next week, I will be joined by Dr. Yajazi surrounding cancer prevention and taking a holistic approach to your to cancer. And so we really wanted to just hit all the points here, as Dr. Yajazi will also be part of the expo as well. And so you will see that his information will appear here after we close off. And thank you again, Mr. Doran. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me, Serene.
You're welcome. Thank you. Good
And
night,
also,
everyone.
good night, everyone. Take care.